Now, out of all of the creepy, mysterious, and unexplained videos that I've seen on the internet, the Elisa Lam video is one that has always stuck out to me. I mean, just the sheer creepiness and mystery of the video has always left me baffled, dude. And the fact that no one can really come out with a definitive answer as to what really happened to Elisa Lam, it just brings up a ton of questions. Now, if you aren't too familiar with the story, then allow me to catch you up just a bit. Elisa Lam was a 21-year-old college student from the University of British Columbia. In February of 2013, her body was discovered inside the water tank atop the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. Now, although her death was ultimately ruled as a drowning, the questionable events that have led up to her death, they raised so many eyebrows across the globe, creating, crazy conspiracy theories that, either Elisa Lam was murdered, that she was being chased by demons, that she was possessed by a demon, and the theories just go on and on. And the number one strangest piece of evidence to come out of the Elisa Lam case was an elevator's security camera footage that was taken just minutes before death. So basically, in the video, we see Elisa enter the elevator. She walks over to the buttons and she just starts to press a bunch of buttons. She then stands in the corner of the elevator, and what is strange right here is that the elevator doors don't shut. They just remain open as if the elevator was non-functional. Elisa then walks and peeks outside the elevator in a sort of paranoid manner, checking both left and right as if she was being chased by something or someone. She then steps back into the elevator and seems to try and hide herself against the elevator wall. The video continues with Elisa just acting completely bizarre. The strangest moment in the video is when Elisa steps out of the elevator, leaves the frame for a couple seconds, then comes back in and starts making these creepy and unnatural hand gestures, almost as if she is swimming in the ocean or something, dude. So supposedly, after this security camera footage was recorded, Elisa managed to make her way to the top of the Cecil Hotel. She went up there, she saw the giant water tank, she decided to climb up it, open the heavy lid, jump in, the lid slams down, locks her in, and then she ultimately drowns in the very water that ran through the entire hotel. Just imagine this for a second. The water that you're brushing your teeth with while you're in your room, it's the same water that a girl has been decomposing in for the last 2 weeks. Ain't that something? That's nasty. However, this theory did prove to have some holes. First of all, there is allegedly no way, absolutely no way, that a hotel guest can just access the roof without setting off some kind of panic alarm. Some kind of fire alarm, any alarm. Apparently the door that grants access to the roof, you have to have a special key, or if you open it, an alarm goes off. That's all I know. That's how it allegedly works at the Cecil Hotel. Now, the only other way that someone can get to the top of the Cecil Hotel is by means of a fire escape. And the only access to the fire escape is allegedly through a window. Now, I don't know where the window is in the hotel. I don't know if it's in a lobby, in a hallway, in someone's room. I don't know. But the next question that arises is, how the hell did she get in the water tank in the first place. Apparently, the lid of this water tank weighs like something like 60 pounds. And people are saying all over the internet, oh, there's no way this girl would be able to lift this heavy tank. You know, she had to have some assistance. It wasn't her by herself. There's no way she could do that. Now, I think this theory is ridiculous. I absolutely think someone the size, a woman the size of Elisa Lam could absolutely lift up to 60 pounds at least. And I just don't think that 60 pounds is like this ridiculous number. If the lid of the water tank weighed like 300 pounds, I'd be like, all right, this is some fishy stuff. Or if it's like a manhole cover where you have to have like some sort of like crowbar or something to open it. And then, you know, there's some fishy stuff going on then. I just don't think it's completely implausible for a woman the size in stature of Elisa Lam to lift a 60-pound lid to a water tank. That's just ridiculous, dude. That's ridiculous. Another strange fact about this case is that when Elisa's body was discovered, she was not wearing any clothes at all. So you're asking yourself, Weendawg, where the heck were her clothes then? I'll tell you, dude. Her clothes were found floating in the water tank next to her. So that leaves two possibilities. Either first, she jumped in the tank, maybe lifting the lid up like halfway to where she could physically lift it up. She jumps in, the lid closes on because she didn't open it all the way. It just closes her in, locking her in. Now she's stuck in the tank. She's floating around, just wading in the water. And she realizes, oh my God, my clothes, they're all soaked, drenched, and it's just weighing me down. It's very uncomfortable. So she decides to zip off her hoodie, take off her clothes, and now she's naked in there and she's more comfortable. She's able to swim better and float better. And then she just ultimately dies. Theory number two, possibility number two is that she took her clothes off first before entering the tank. I don't really understand the logic behind this, but when you're dealing with this case, it's kind of hard to pinpoint where you use logic because there's a lot of stuff that does not make sense in this case. So either she took her clothes off while she was in the tank, or she took her clothes off before she got in the tank, threw her clothes in the tank, and then got into the water tank. I don't know. So after this footage went viral, that's when all the theories started to spread like wildfire, dude. I mean, this case took the internet by storm. Now, as someone who loves paranormal stuff like Bigfoot, ghosts, all that stuff, aliens, I love all that stuff. As someone who is in such deep love with this stuff, I would love nothing more than to think that, okay, yes, Elisa Lam was obviously possessed by a demon, or that yes, Elisa Lam was being chased by some unknown entities. That's amazing. That stuff is it just makes your head go blah. It makes your mind explode, dude, to think that could be a real possibility. But to figure out what really happened to Elisa Lam, you have to just really sit down and look at the cold, hard facts of this case. So absolutely, one of the biggest factors in this case is when Elisa's family came out and stated that, yes, Elisa Lam does suffer from bipolar disorder and she's on a series of medications to treat it. Now, the medication that she was on goes as followed. Number 1, Dexedrine, and that is a stimulant prescribed for ADD/ADHD and narcolepsy. Number 2, Lamictal. And Lamictal is basically, it's an anticonvulsant and it's a mood stabilizer, and it's prescribed for epilepsy and bipolar disorder. Number 3, Seroquel. So Seroquel is basically, it's an atypical antipsychotic prescribed for schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and major depressive disorder. The next medication that she was on was Effexor. Now, Effexor is it's an antidepressant. It's prescribed for major depressive disorders. It's a generalized anxiety disorder. It treats anxiety, and it helps for panic disorders and also social phobias. And that's a big one. Note Effexor. That's a big one in the case. Also, you got to think of the mentality of someone who is on these specific medications. Just the symptoms of why you would need Effexor alone: depressive disorder, social phobia, panic disorder, anxiety. Just keep that in mind. And now the last prescribed drug is Wellbutrin. Wellbutrin is a typical antidepressant prescribed for depression and smoking cessation. So we can tell just by looking at the list of medications that Elisa was on that there are some serious disturbances in her mentality, in her brain, in her everyday life. Whether it's anxiety, depression, her bipolar disorder, her nervousness, all this stuff. All this stuff just comes conglomerated into a ball. It just comes conglomerated into one ball of chaos in your brain. Okay, so knowing that Elisa suffered from a severe case of bipolar disorder, it's important to note that with this disorder comes a whole barrage of psychotic features, such as hallucinations, delusions, paranoia, and even your basic lack of insight. And while researching this case, there's this term that kept popping up all over the place, and that term is psychomotor agitation. One more time, psychomotor agitation. Now, psychomotor agitation is defined as a series of unintentional and purposeless motions that stem from mental tension and anxiety of an individual. This includes pacing around a room, wringing one's hands, uncontrolled tongue movements, and other similar actions. And I spit all over my computer monitor right now. Nice. And psychomotor agitation is ultimately ruled as a symptom of mania. Now, with all of this being said, go back and watch that video, the Elisa Lam video, and tell me it does not look like somebody having a crazy psychotic episode. And you're sitting at home going, Weendawg, what about the theory that Elisa Lam was cooked out of her mind on psychedelic drugs, whether it be mushrooms, acid, whatever? What about that? Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Weendawg fan, because according to the toxicology report, she had no other drug or alcoholic influence in her system aside from a few over-the-counter pain medications like Tylenol or something like that. So this is a girl, she's completely straight edge. The only things she puts in her body are the prescribed medications given to her to treat her bipolar disorder, and just a couple, pills of Tylenol or Advil or whatever you have. So, with all of this being said, I think we can finally come up with a conclusion as to what really happened to Elisa Lam. On January 31st, 2013, Elisa Lam suffered from a severe mental breakdown as a result of a mixture of all of her prescribed medications and her bipolar disorder. In the midst of this breakdown, she found her way onto the Cecil Hotel's fire escape, and she climbed to the roof where she saw one of the water tanks. She then climbed the ladder to the top of the tank, and she opened up the lid just barely enough to squeeze herself in, and after she got into the tank, the lid closed, ultimately locking her in. After a while of being in the tank, waiting in the water, just swimming, trying to stay afloat, she got tired and exhausted, so she decided to take all of her clothes off to ease the burden of trying to stay alive in this water tank. And after some time, maybe even hours of just floating in the tank, trying to stay alive, Elisa's body gave up, inevitably causing her to drown. Now, although it's fun to think that, this is the first clear evidence of someone being possessed or someone being chased by a demon, when you look at the cold hard facts, this case really shows its true colors. What happened to Elisa Lam was just a result of a psychotic breakdown. It is really a sad case when you think about it. Elisa Lam, she was not chased by a demon. She was not possessed. She was not murdered by some serial killer, some employee serial killer. This was just a poor soul who was struggling with her mental disability, and it just one day it just all came crashing down on her, and the main result is the Elisa Lam story. the video that we see, her body in the water tank, all that stuff. That's the main end result of this case. And you know what? That will basically conclude the video. I don't know if you guys agree with me. If you don't agree with me, great. Let me know what you think really did happen to Elisa Lam in the damn comments below. Let's discuss it. I'm open to all theories. If you really do think that she was being chased by a ghost or a serial killer, let me know. Tell me why. Tell me how. Tell me where. Tell me what. Tell me when. You know, I love this stuff. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit subscribe. There's going to be more Weendawg content coming up. I really love making these videos for you guys. Hope to see you around in the near future. That's it for me today. Weendawg is out.